Hello everyone. Today we're going to learn top 10 Desmos hacks that you can use in your SAT exam to solve any question in your SAT math. Now let's see the first one, that is solving the quadratic equation. Now how do we solve a quadratic equation, or how do we find out the roots of a quadratic equation? So roots are nothing but the x-intercept of the quadratic equation. Let's take a quadratic equation, that is x squared minus 2x plus 1, which gives me a parabola. So I can see 2 points on the curve, that is 0, 1 and 1, 0. So since I'm looking for the root, that means the x-intercept, the root of this quadratic equation should be 1, 0. So that's how we can solve using Desmos. Now let's see the first question, which says h of x equal to x squared minus 3. Which table gives three values of x and their corresponding values of h of x for a given function h? So here we are given some values and a function h of x, that is x squared minus 3. We are supposed to figure out which of the following is the right answer. So let's take the first coordinate, that is 1, 4. Now, what does it mean? It means when I'm finding out h of 1, that is when I'm putting x equals 1, the output that I should get is 4. If I get 4, then yes, the coordinate satisfies the curve, or else it does not lie on the curve. So let's see if you get 4 or not. So h of 1 is 1 squared minus 3, that's negative 2. So that is not equals to 4. It should not lie on the curve. So let's try it using Desmos. So we'll just plug in the equation, that is x squared minus 3, and also the coordinate, that's 1, 4, which is obviously outside the curve. It is not lying on the curve. So first option is not the right answer. Let's move on to the next option, where the first point which we see is 1, negative 2. This one that is in purple is lying on the curve. So yes, this satisfies. Then the next one is 2, 1. This one is in black, which is also lying on the curve. So yes, it satisfies as well. The next one is 3, 6. This one is in red and that lies on the curve again. So the correct answer is option B. Now let's see the next hack, that is solving the system of equation. Now how do we solve a system of equation? By using elimination or substitution method? Rather, can we just use Desmos? Let's see this question, which says 24x plus y equals to 48 and 6x plus y equals to 72. The equation to this given system of equation, the solution to the given system of equation is xy. What is the value of x? So we have 24x plus y is equals to 48. That is the first equation. And the second equation is 6x plus y is equals to 72. So we need the point of intersection for the curve so that we get the solution, that is the value of x and y. So we see that the point of intersection is negative 1.333 and 80. And we are looking for the value of y. So the value of y is the y coordinate, that is 80. So the answer is y is equals to 80. It's very simple. Now, the next one is finding out the maximum and minimum value. Now let's say you have a quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c. How do we know whether it has a max value or a min value? It depends on the value of a, that is coefficient of x squared. If this is greater than 0, the curve is open upwards and the vertex is going to be the minimum value. If it is less than 0, the curve is going to be open downwards, and now the maximum value is again the vertex. So here, since we don't see the coefficient of x squared to be negative, so we will get a minimum value. But what is that value? Let's find it out using Desmos. I can plug in x minus 10 multiplied by x plus 13 in Desmos, and I see a curve. Where is the curve? So here the curve is. Now we can see the minimum value. The minimum value is negative 1.5 and negative 132.25. But we are asked for what value of x does f of x reach its minimum. So we need the x coordinate, that is negative 1.5, which is option D, that's negative 3 over 2. That's very simple. Now the next type is solving the inequalities. So we have 2x minus y is greater than 883. Now we get a graph or a curve which is in this form. So we get a shaded region precisely. So whichever region is shaded is going to contain all the values that the curve satisfies. And the region which is not shaded does not contain the values which satisfy the curve. So let's see which one satisfies. So the first one is 440 comma 0. The next coordinate which we have is 441 comma negative 2. And the third coordinate which we have is 442 comma negative 4. So let's see where does these lie. So these lie somewhere over here. So clearly I can see that two coordinates are lying inside the bounded region, that is inside the shaded region, and one of them, that is 440, is lying outside. So option A is not the right answer. Again, option B also has 440, so this is also not the right answer. Now let's see the option C, that is 442, 442 0, and the next value is 440 negative 2, 441 negative 4. Now we see that one of the coordinates, that is in black, which is 440 and negative 2, is not there inside the region. So again, this is also not the right answer. So obviously option D is the right answer, but let's recheck. So the first one is 440, the next one is 441 and negative 2, which is also inside the region. Next is 440, negative 4, that is inside the region as well. So this is the right answer. Now, the next thing is regression. Now, what is regression? Regression is nothing but finding out the equation, be it a linear or a quadratic or any kind of equation from the given points or from the table which we have. So this question gives us few values, that is at 0 we have 29, at 1 that is 32, at 2 is 35. For the linear function f, the table shows three values of x and their corresponding values of f of x. Which of the following is the equation? So here we see add item, the plus icon, that is add item. I'll just click on it. I see a table. I'll click on that and then I'll plug in all the values. For 0, I am having 29. For 1, it is 32. And for 2, it is 35. Now I will just go to this line which says add regression, and now I want a linear regression because I want answer in the linear form. So I see the equation which we have is y equal to 3x plus 29, which is eventually option A. So option A is the right answer. So this is the equation for all the values which we have kept over here. We can literally find out any type of regression that can be quadratic. If it is a quadratic equation, it would look like this, or power regression or logistic or exponential, any regression. Isn't it simple? Yes. Now, the next one is how many solutions do we have? So the first type of question in this is 4x minus 9y equals to 9y plus 5 and hy is equals to 2 plus 4x has no solution. So when does something have no solution? When the two lines do not intersect. That means when they are parallel to each other. So we have to find out the value of h. How do we do it? Let's plug in 4x minus 9y is equals to 9y plus 5. Now I can see a line over here. So this is the line we have. Now the next value or the next equation is hy is equals to 2 plus 4x. Now since we don't know the value of h, we will add a slider. Now we need to adjust the value of h in such a way that we get a line parallel to the given line. So here the line is getting intersected, but we need a parallel line. So what do? I can go to this -10 or +10 and click on that, which gives us an interval of values. So I'll set it from -20 to +30. And now let's try to slide the slider. And I want to make an equation, a line which is parallel to the green one. So I can see that it is almost being parallel. Let's say it h equals to 18. They are almost parallel to each other. So the answer must be h is equal to 18. That's very simple. Now, the next question in the similar type is y equals to 2x squared minus 21x plus 64, and also y equals to 3x plus a. In the given equation system of equation, a is constant. What is the value of x, it is asking, and the graph of equation in the given system intersects exactly at one point. Now, I want you guys to solve it as a homework question and get me back on this if you're getting a right answer or even if you're not getting a right answer. Please use Desmos to solve this. You can take a screenshot and we will move to the next type. The next type is finding out the intercept. What is an intercept? We have two types of intercepts. One is the x-intercept, the other is the y-intercept. The x-intercept is the value where the curve touches the x-axis. That is, the y value is 0. And the other is the y-intercept where the curve touches the y-axis and x is 0. Obviously, we can just plug in the value of x as 0 to get the y-intercept and y as 0 to get the x-intercept. But this question says, what is the x-coordinate of an x-intercept of the graph y equals to 3 times x minus 14, x plus 5 and x plus 4 in the xy plane? So here we can just plug in as 3 times x minus 14 multiplied by x plus 5 multiplied by x plus 4, and we can check for the x-intercept. So here we see that we have two x-intercepts over here. We can write down any of these options, either -4 or -5. Any of them is correct because we are looking for the x-intercept. Now, the next type which we have is finding out the values. The question says the function f is defined by f of x. So I'll just put f of x is equals to 1 over 2 multiplied by x plus 6, and then we have to find out what is f of 4. So we just need to plug in the value of x as 4. So I can just find out f of 4. Or this is very simple that I can do it manually. I can just put x equals to 4 and write it as 1 over 2 into 4 plus 6, that is 10. So 10 over 2 is equals to 5. So the answer is option D, that is 5. Now, the next, a little complicated thing is equation of circle. Now, how do we make the equation of circle and how do we find out the radius and everything? It is a little complicated topic. We need a lot of practice to achieve it. So let's solve the first question, that is x squared plus 14x plus y squared equals to 6y plus 109. In the xy plane, the graph of the equation is a circle, it says. What is the length of the circle's radius? We need to find out the length of the radius. So let's plug in the equation first. That is x squared plus 14x plus y squared -6y, because I'm just taking 6y to the other side, and -109. Now, we will get an equation -6y and -109. Oh, sorry, I forgot to write equals to 0. So let's do it again. X squared plus 14x plus y squared minus 6y minus 109 should be equal to 0. So we got a circle which is really, really elongated, and we will just minimize it to see it in the form of a circle. So here it is. So here is the circle we are looking for. Now we need to find out the radius. So let's just recap what a radius is. Radius is the length of the line that is from the center onto the circle. So how do we find out the center of the circle first? So let's take this value, which is negative 7 comma negative 9.9, and the other value that is negative 7 comma negative positive 15.92285. So now, using these two coordinates, we will find out the midpoint, that is nothing but the center of the circle. Why are we using these two coordinates? Because this makes a straight line. This gives us that x is same and only change is in y. So we can find out the equation, we can find out the center, and also we can find out the radius. Now let's find out the center first. How do we do it? So the center is going to be the midpoint of these 2 points. So I'll just type on midpoint, and here it is. I'll just copy this, and then the first coordinate is pasted over here, and the next coordinate would be 7 points. So I'll just copy this as well and then paste it over here. Now I see that the midpoint is negative 7, comma 3. Now, from this midpoint to any point on the circle, I can find out the distance by using distance formula. So I'll write down distance of negative 7, comma 3, that is the center or the midpoint, to the other coordinate. Let's take this one and just copy this and paste it over here. So I got 12.9. So which is that option? The first option is root over 109, which will give us 10 point something. So first is not right. Now the next one is 149. So this can give us. So let's see, square root of 149 is 12.2. So this is also not the right answer. So now the next one is square root of 167. That is 12.922, which is the right answer. So now I tried to cover these three concepts in the question, that is finding out the equation, like plotting the equation of the circle in Desmos, and then finding out the midpoint, or maybe the question asks you to find out the radius, and then finding out the question asks you to find out the center, and then finding out the radius. Or can we do one thing? Can we directly find out the distance of these 2 points and then half it to get the radius? Yes, we can do that as well. We'll get the same answer. Okay, so now let's see the other question, which says a circle in the xy plane has a diameter with the end points negative 3 comma 10 and negative 3 comma 1. An equation of the circle is x plus 3 whole squared plus y minus 7 whole squared is equals to r squared, and we need to find out the value of r. So the equation of circle has a variable this time, that is x plus 3 whole squared. So the variable is r. X plus 3 whole squared plus y minus 7 whole square is equal to r squared. So this again, add a slider to this. Now this gives us r equals to 1 and so many other values. But how do we decide the value of r? Now let's take the first one, first coordinate, that's negative 3 comma 13, and the other coordinate which we want the circle to touch is negative 3 comma 1. Now can we move the slider so that the circle touches these two coordinates? So the slider stops at 6, and we find that these two are touching. Now what if I take some value like this? Some value like this, let's say 6.1. I might get confused between 6 and 6.1 when I'm using the slider. How do I make sure whether 6 is correct or 6.1 is correct? I'll just plug in x plus 3 whole squared, that is the equation of circle, plus y minus 7 whole squared should be equal to 6 squared, that is 36. If I'm getting the same circle, then it's correct. If let's say we have it as 6.1 whole squared, so we are not getting the same circle, we are getting two different circles over here. You can see when you zoom it. That's why 6 is only the right answer, not 6.1. I hope you got this as well. So the value of R is 6. Very simple to solve. Now the last one is mean. How to find out the mean of any points in Desmos. So here we have a function called mean and we can type in any values, let's say 4, 5, 6 and etc. And I can see what is the mean. Now let's see this question which says that so we are given a table and the sixth nest with 121 eggs is added to create a new data set. Which of the following correctly compares the mean of the two data sets? So first we need to find out the mean of the original data set. So I'll write it as mean of 149 and 144 and 148 and 136, 138. So we got that mean, sorry, it's not 138, it's 139. So we got the mean is 143.2. Now let's also add 121. So what am I doing is I'm just copying this and I'll paste it over here and add the last value that is 121. So I see that the mean of the original value or the original data set is greater than the next one. So the first option says the mean of the original data set is greater than the mean of the new data set. The second option says that the mean of the original data set is less than the mean of the new data set. So before confirming the answer, let's again check the values. We wrote 149, 144, 148, 136, 139. So that is correct. And again, we wrote 149, 144, 148, 136, and 139 in the 121 because the sixth nest is 121. Hope you all guys understood what I did in this question. So I can clearly say that the mean of original data set is greater than the mean of the new data set. That's very simple. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Wait for more such videos, more Desmos hacks and more conceptual videos. I'll be back. Thank you.